Welcome to the EFS Modernization Project training video series. This video will cover the SR eligibility assignment process, which includes sending the SR funding notification, the Family Portal Eligibility Wizard, and assigning SR eligibility in the Coalition Portal. We'll start in the Coalition Services Portal. Enter your username and password and click Log On. So at this point, the family has submitted their SR application. It's in the Coalition Portal and it's ready for review. And from review, we'll be able to put them onto the SR waiting list. So in preparing for this video, I went ahead and clicked on this family's application and it set their status to Coalition Reviewing. So they're here in the Coalition Reviewing queue. I'm going to click on the SR application and it's going to display all the information that family submitted in their application. After completing your review, we want to change the application status to active. When doing so, it requires that both child status be updated as well. So we're going to put both of these children onto the waiting list. We're going to put them into a waiting status. In order to do so, you have to put a priority, a billing group, and eligibility code in order for them to populate the SR waiting list. So we're just going to pick any random combination just to get them on the wait list. And we see the information populate for these children. Once we click the Save button, they will then display on the waiting list. Alright, so we're going to go back to it and we're going to see both of our flower children show up here. So from here we want to send this family a funding notification. This indicates that the coalition now has funding for these children. There is two things that you can do from this queue. You can simply choose to send them an electronic notification by clicking the box, or you can send it electronically and do a printout of that funding notification. So what you do is you click the Generate PDF, click those boxes, and you'll see that a notification will generate for the family. You actually have two. You'll have one per child. So this notification is for the first child, and if you scroll down, you'll see the second notification for the second child. These will both go to the family. The family will receive an email advising them to log into the family portal and complete the eligibility verification. And as you'll see here back on the waiting list, those two children are now off the waiting list and they're going to be in a pending eligibility status. If you want to search for those children to see their records and see what's going on with their information, you can go to the SR Program tab, click on SR Eligibility, and go to the Search. And from here, there are a number of things you can use to search for that child, but for the sake of testing, we're just going to search for the parent's last name, which is Flower. And we're going to see that there are two records. I'm going to scroll to the right. Now in the future, we're going to update this search results queue. And we're going to move both the child name and the parent name further over to the left to make it easier to see who you're looking for once you get here. But we see that our two children who were just on the waiting list are now in a pending update, pending eligibility status. This indicates that the family has been notified of funding and that they need to log in to their family portal account and fill out the information and submit it back to the coalition. Once the coalition has sent the family the funding notification, the family will need to log into their family portal account. So we're going to start there. Well, this is what it looks like as of now. We're making enhancements to this family portal display that's going to show each child in their own individual record with all their individual statuses. So if they're enrolled or if they're pending enrollment or if they're on the wait list, each child will have their own record that will show where they are in the enrollment process. But as for now, this is a testing site. We're using this look and this view just to get through testing for now. Once they see this Verify Eligibility button, this button will launch the eligibility wizard for the family to verify the information that they submitted in their SR application. So we're going to start that process. I'm going to click Verify Eligibility. So when the family starts, the Early Learning Coalition may have funding available to assist in paying for child care. We're going to start the process. The first step is to verify the household information. For the second testing, we're not going to change any of the information that the family submitted in their SR application. We're just going to confirm that everything that they said is correct, nothing has changed. So we're going to hit Next. And we're going to verify that the household address information is the same. We see here that there's a need for additional information, so we're going to click No. So the family is required to upload a document, so we're going to upload a test document. And that works. I'm going to save and continue on to the next screen. We're going to verify the children in the household. As we see here, there's a message that indicates additional information. Additional information is needed for each child, so we're going to have to click No. And for the coalition users, just so you all know, we're going to be making updates in future versions of this wizard that will make it easier to identify what's required and what's necessary for each child on each screen. But for now, we have to say No and hit the Edit button to add all the additional information that's required. So this child must have a proof of age and proof of citizenship. So we're going to attach our test document. And save. Do the same thing for the second child. Alright, we're done with that part. Moving on to the next screen. Additional information is required for the parent. You want to say No, click the Edit button. We're going to say No to the disability question and upload proof of identity for the parent. Save. That portion is completed. There are no other household members. That's correct. This family does not have a form from the from the Child Care Application Authorization Agency, so we're going to say No. Had the family said yes in the SR application process, this question would have been indicated as a yes, and the document would need to be attached. But because the answer was no on the application, the answer is also no in the EV Wizard. So I'm going to continue on. We're going to fill in the employment information for this family. So we're going to have proof of employment uploaded for this family. So we see the note here, additional information is needed. We say No, hit Edit, and we're going to attach any pay stubs that the parent may have. And indicate the number of days worked per week, what days are worked. And that is it for this job. So we're going to hit Yes and move on to any school or training. This parent is in school, so additional information is needed for this employer, so we're going to click No, hit Edit, and attach a document, as well as fill in the information about the number of hours attending each week and that necessary information. So we're going to say this parent attends 10 hours a week, and we're doing credit hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we're going to attach a document that shows that this parent is attending or plans to attend or has attended. And hit Save. And then Yes. We've indicated in the application this parent has no other sources of income, so this information is correct. We'll keep going. We've also indicated that this parent does not receive or pay any alimony or child support. They're going to be required to certify that they do not receive any alimony or child support payments. They're going to have to say yes. If they do receive either alimony or child support payments, they're going to have to go back and provide that information in the documentation for it. This next child provider information feature is new to the EV Wizard and enrollment process. We now allow families to search for and request enrollment with providers. These providers should have school readiness contracts with the coalition in which the parent is enrolled. If the family or the parent needs help locating a provider or getting additional provider information, they can go to this DCF Cares link to search for providers outside of the EFS mod system. But once we get into the next screen, I'll show you how to search for providers that have enrolled in EFS mod. So both children need to have a provider, at least one provider selected. In the event that the parent does not know which provider they want to send their child to, they can select I need help selecting a provider, and someone from the coalition will contact the parent to help them find a provider. But in the event that they do know where they want their child to attend, they can select the Add Provider selection button, do a search for the provider by name, address, city, zip code, or county. So in this particular case, for testing, we know who we want the child to attend, so we're just going to select it. And you see some general information for this provider. If the parent wants to call the provider to get more information, they can, but they can see the hours of operation, the type of provider, different things about it. There's a question here that asks, is the child currently attending, or no, the child is not currently attending. So in this case, we're going to say the child is already attending. They're attending under private pay. We'll just say that right now they're a private pay family. We're going to do the same thing for the second child. And that's it. Just say yes. Those two provider selections will show up on the coalition side in the child's enrollment request. Next, if there are any additional documents that need to be uploaded, they can be uploaded here on this screen, but we don't have any now, so we're just going to say yes and continue. Before we submit, there's a review screen where the parent can verify the information is correct that they've entered. If it's correct, we say next. Before the family can submit the EV Wizard back to the coalition, they need to review and read the certification statement and then sign and submit. But before they can sign, they need to check the certification box for the electronic signature and enter their name. And that's it. The family has now submitted the eligibility verification wizard back to the coalition. So if you've heard me say the phrase EV wizard, I'm referring to the eligibility verification wizard. The families won't see the EV wizard printed anywhere on the family portal, but they will see this eligibility verification wizard. Turn back to the home screen. Once this family portal home screen is enhanced, we'll be able to see that the status for these now pending eligibility children will be displayed here. There will be a section that says pending eligibility, and it's in the coalition's hands now to review the information provided in the eligibility wizard and either assign eligibility or reject the family's eligibility request. Once the family has submitted the eligibility verification wizard back to the coalition for review, the coalition user can then go to the SR program and do a search in the SR eligibility search queue to find that family, or they can go directly to the eligibility verification submitted queue, and they'll see all of the records that have recently been submitted for review. So we'll see right here in this results queue, the family that we just submitted shows up. Here's a Rose family, 2 children show up, and from here we can now begin the SR eligibility assignment process. The first step is to click on the eligibility verification number. On this screen, we're going to get a glimpse of the family to see if they're eligible for SR funding. We're going to be able to see how many people are in this household, the annual household income, and do our assessment from there. So as you'll see here, this eligibility verification review is in a submitted status. We do not have to change that status to coalition reviewing in order to begin assigning eligibility. It can stay in this status and move from submitted into active. So right now we're just going to go and look through the different fields and different information on the screen. The children needing care, the parent. Here's the employment information. If we wanted to get more information, we just hit edit to see more details about that employment. Same thing for school. If anything needed to be changed, the coalition user can make any changes that they need to make for this family. Any changes made to the information in this coalition reviewing screen for this family has to be supported by documentation. So if a coalition user makes changes, they must have documentation to support those changes. So this family has no deductions. This total section is blank right now, but we have work in progress to populate this field with all the different totals, income totals, deduction totals, other income totals, any money for this family that is being used to assess this family's household income, annual household income will be shown here and be broken down. So for the sake of testing, we're going to say that this family's information looks good. They only make $12,480 a year. 2 children in the household, 1 school age, 1 non-school age. This family does qualify for SR funding. So we're going to go ahead and change the household status to active. So it's from submitted to active, and we're going to save. Once we save that change, that status updates for the children as well, and it now allows us to assign eligibility to each child. So before, the child did not have any eligibility assigned. They were being reviewed. We've determined that they are eligible, so now we're going to assign the billing group and eligibility codes and authorization period for each child. We're going to click on the eligibility button. We'll see that this is the child's initial process, meaning this is the first time this child has come through to have eligibility assigned. The priority carried over from the wait list as a priority 3. The child is 5 years old, so we see the level of care already indicated here. A purpose for care must be indicated. We're just going to say that the parent is employed. The authorized unit of care. This indicates what type of copay the parent must pay. Are they full-time daily rate or part-time daily rate? And we're going to say that this parent only needs a part-time daily rate for this child. We're still making updates to this screen to populate what that copay would actually be. We're going to use the coalition sliding fee scale and base it on the number of people in the household and the annual household income to determine what the full-time copay will be and what the part-time copay will be. That information is still being put into the system, so it's not displaying right now, but it will be there prior to the release of 3.0. We're going to say that there are no waivers or reductions for the copay amounts. We're going to leave those blank. As a side note, the word reduction and the word reduced may be removed from this section. It's under review right now by policy, so some updates may be made to this section in the near future. But in the event that everything is okay, the copay is assessed, we have our full-time rate, we have our part-time rate, and the rate's going to start as of today when eligibility is being assigned. I'll put that date in. Now we can assign the eligibility code and billing group. So this child will still remain a BG8 econ. This eligibility end date is going to be updated to reflect that the actual date of May 28th, 2019. So we're going to reduce about 1 day, and that should give that family a full 12-month eligibility range. If this is all correct, we say okay. We see that the authorization period is created for this child with this date range, and we hit save.